Hi everyone, this is Michael with PianoWithMichael.com. I want to thank you for stopping by today. In this lesson, I am going to teach the easy version of Eine Kleine Nachtmusik by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Now, Eine Kleine Nachtmusik means a little serenade. So this is Mozart's Serenade number 13 in G major. And again, it's formerly known and really known as Eine Kleine Nachtmusik. Okay, so if you like this video, please like it, subscribe to my YouTube channel, share it, and then also click on the notification bell. Also, please visit my website, PianoWithMichael.com, to learn about my philosophies about music, and also just to kind of learn the basics of music. So if you don't have the time or resources for traditional lessons, it's a great way to learn from home and get started on your musical journey. Okay, so let's get back to Eine Kleine Nachtmusik by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Again, the first thing I'd like to do is to find out what key signature it's in. This one is in G major, which means that there's one sharp, and it's going to be the F. So all the Fs will be played as a sharp unless notified within with an accidental. And then we might have some other sharps or flats, and it looks like we don't. Okay, so when I'm learning a new piece, what I like to do is kind of break everything down. I'll do everything with my right hand, and then practice everything with my left hand, and then kind of bring them together and work on it with both hands. And that works for me. There's other ways to learn, but hopefully some of you will find out that works for you as well. So let's see. We've got G major with the F sharp, and then the timing is 4/4, which means that there are 4 beats per measure, and the quarter note gets the beat. Okay, so that's 4/4. Now again, I've broken down each measure. So you're going to see line 1, and then M1 measure 1, M2 as measure 2, M3 as measure 3, and M4 as measure 4, and etc. Now I kind of broke away from the traditional sense of labeling the measures instead of going through and each measure having its own number. I wanted to make it nice and quick and easy for us to kind of go back and forth and kind of pinpoint what measure I'm talking about. So that's why I did the line 1, measure 1, etc. So, all right, so let's go to measure line 1, measure 1, G major, and so we've got the first note is a dotted quarter note, which is going to be G. So we're going to count that off as 1 and 2. So when I count off of 4/4, depending on how complex a piece is, and this one has a bunch of, well, it does have 16 notes, but also eighth notes. So traditionally, if it was just quarter notes or half notes or whole notes, I would count it off as 1, 2, 3, 4. But since we do have the eighth notes and the 16th notes, I'm going to count it off as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, okay? And now if we have the 16th notes, what I'll do is count it off as 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and, okay? And if you go to PianoWithMichael.com and go to Lessons with Miko, I've got a whole series of videos that break down the timing and how to count them off. Okay, so line 1, measure 1, we've got the dotted quarter note, G, with the second finger, and so we're going to count that as a beat and a half. So when we have a dotted note, we take the duration of that note and then add half of that note together. So that's going to be counted as a beat and a half. So second finger on G, 1 and 2, and then our thumb is going to be on D for an eighth note, and then back up on the second finger on G, and then back on D with our thumb. Okay, so now we're going to count that off as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, excuse me, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so now let's go to line 1 measure 2, and we've got 4 eighth notes, starting off with G. We're going to use our second finger, so G, then D, then G, then our third finger on B, and then our fifth finger, pinky, on D for a half note. Okay, so line 1 measure 2, G, D, G, B, D. Okay, now we're going to count that off. So we'll go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so let's go back to line 1 measure 1, and we'll play line 1 measure 1 and 2 together. So we'll go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so okay, so now let's go to line 1 measure 3, and we've got another dotted quarter note with a C with our fifth finger. So we're going to count that as 1 and 2, and then our third finger is going to be on A for an eighth note. Okay, and then back up to C with our pinky, and then back down to C. Okay, so line 1 measure 3, we've got C, A, C, A. And how we count that off is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so now let's go to line 1 measure 4. We've got our pinky again on C, and these are there are a series of 4 eighth notes. So we're going to go C, third finger on A, second finger on F sharp, okay, and then third finger on A, and then we'll go down to D as a half note with our thumb. Okay, so we've got C, A, F sharp, A, D. So let's count that off. Line 1 measure 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so now let's go back to line 1, and we'll play the entire line with our right hand by itself, and we'll do it nice and slow and count it off. So we've got line 1 measure 1. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so now you probably know this piece. It's a very popular piece. I love it. And now I'm going to play a line 1 measure 1, or excuse me, the whole line 1 with my right hand at normal speed. So starting off with our second finger on G, and I'll play it at normal speed. All right, so that's line 1 and the right hand. Now let's go and practice and learn the left hand, line 1. So it looks like we've got our third finger on G, a dotted quarter note. So we've got G, and then our pinky on D, and then our third finger on G, and then pinky on D. Okay, so now let's count that off. So line 1 measure 1. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so line 1 measure 2, we've got our third finger again on G, and that's going to be a whole note, so we're going to carry that as 4 beats. So we'll go G with the third finger, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Nice and easy. Okay, so now let's go back to line 1, measure 1 with the left hand. We'll play measure 1 and measure 2. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so line 1, measure 3, we are going to put our thumb on, we've got the dotted quarter note C, and then our second finger on A, and thumb again on C, and then second finger on A. Okay, so that's going to be line 1, measure 3. We've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so now line 1, measure 4 with the left hand. We've got our thumb again on C for a half note, so that's going to be 2 beats. So we've got C, and then our fifth finger is going to be also a whole, D is also going to be a half note. So line 1, measure 4 starts off with a C as a half note, count that off as 2 beats, and then our pinky lands on D for a half note. Okay, so now let's play line 1 with the left hand by itself slowly, and we'll count it off. Actually, yeah, okay. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay. Now let's go ahead and put our hands together nice and slowly. So what I like to do is get ready. We'll have our right hand, second finger on G, and our third finger on G with the left hand. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, nice and easy. So now I am going to play that at relatively normal speed. So second finger, line 1, measure 1. Oops, kind of messed up there. So let's go back to, let's do that again. Line 1, measure 1. Okay, so that's line 1. Now let's go to line 2, right hand. So line 2, measure 1. We've got our third finger on G. So we've got the quarter note, then a dotted quarter note. So we got G, third finger, G, and then our pinky goes up to B on the 8th note with the pinky, and then A, G. Okay, so let's try that again, counting it off. So third finger on G, line 2, measure 1, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so. Okay, so line 2, measure 2, right hand, we've got our third finger again on G for an 8th note, and then we go down to F with our second finger, and then second finger again on F, sharp I should say, and that's going to be a dotted half note, and then we go up to A with our third finger, fifth finger on C, and then second finger on F sharp. Okay. So line 2, measure 2, let's count it off. We've got third finger on G, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so. Okay. So let's play line 2, measure 1 and measure 2 together. So 1 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay? Okay, so line 2, measure 3, third finger on A, and then G, and then G with a dotted quarter note, and then our pinky on B, and then fourth finger on A, third finger on G. Okay, so line 2, measure 3, we've got third finger on A, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So okay, so line 3, measure 4, we've got our third finger again on G, 8th note, so G, and second finger on F sharp, and then F sharp for a dotted quarter note, and then third finger on A, C with a pinky, and then F sharp again with the second finger. So line 2, measure 4, we've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so now let's try that again. Line 2, measure 1, and it's we'll play the whole line with the right hand slowly. So 1, so third finger on G. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so I'm going to play that at normal speed with just the right hand without counting. Okay, now line 2, measure 1 with the left hand. It looks like we've got a series of quarter notes, which makes it nice and easy, so it kind of repeats. So we've got our second finger on G, so we've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so line 2, measure 2, our pinky is on D, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, and then we go back up to G, line 2, measure 3, quarter note G, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then we go back down to G or D with our pinky, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so line 2, measure 1 will play by itself. Line 2 in its entirety. So ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so now let's bring both hands in together. We'll play it nice and slowly and count it off. Third finger right hand on G, second finger left hand on G. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay. Now I'm going to play that at normal speed without counting out loud. So. Okay, so now let's go back to line 1 measure, or line 1, and we'll play all the way to the end of line 2. And again, I like to do this. This is something I do. I know other people do it. Other people have other methods, but this works for me where I'll learn a line and then learn the next line, and then I'll go back to the first part and then continue up to where I've learned. And I'll just kind of keep doing that until I've got the whole piece memorized in rote memory. And again, once you get it into rote memory and you don't have to think about where your fingers are, but you have it already memorized, that's when, in my opinion, that's where the fun starts, and you can really get expressive and just get really into the nuances and the artistry of the music. Okay, So let's go back to line 1, measure 1. Third finger on, second finger on G, third left hand, third finger on G. So. Oops. Let's try that again. Try that again. Okay. Now let's go to line 3, measure 1, and it looks like we've got a couple of, or at least several 16th notes. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit quicker than for these easy pieces than what I've had in all the other arrangements. So let's go. Line 3, measure 1, we've got our third finger on G for 2 8th notes. So we got G, G, and then we got those 16th notes with a G, F sharp, E, F sharp, G. Okay, so our third finger is on that G, and then we jump up with our thumb on that G to get prepared for the next series of notes. So G, and then third finger on B, A, G, A, then yeah, so line 3, measure 1, we got G, 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 F sharp, E, F sharp, G, jump with the thumb, G, B, A, B, B, A, G, A. Okay, so let's try that again and count it off. 1. So this is where the 16th notes where we'll use a 1 E and okay, so 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and okay. So let's try that again. It's kind of a mouthful saying all those, so we'll play it nice and slowly. So 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and okay. So I'm going to play that at normal speed. Oops. So I actually went to the second measure there. So let's try that again. Okay. So again, you got that G, 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 F sharp, E, F sharp, and then we go that G with the third finger, and then we jump again with our thumb. Okay. Okay, so now let's go to line 3, measure 2. We've got our third finger on B, and then our second finger on B. So this is where we kind of set. So jump up, set, and we're getting prepared for the next series of notes. So we've got fourth finger on D, C, B, C, D. Okay, so third line 3, measure 2. We got 1 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and okay. So third finger on B. Okay. So let's try line 3 and measure 1 and 2 together, so we get kind of a audible visual sound of how it should appear played. Okay. And again, if those notes are a little bit tricky for you, what I would do is just play it nice and slowly and just get comfortable with the finger working, because I know you get that jump there. Okay. Now let's go to line 3, measure 3, and we've got our fourth finger on D and second finger on B. So we've got B and D for a half note, and then C and E with the third and fifth finger. Okay, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then let's go to line 3, measure 4, our fourth finger on D, 4 and 8th note. So we've got D, C, 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 and then we got another C, but we're gonna jump up with our third finger or fourth finger to get it set for the next series of notes. So fourth finger C, and then third finger B, B, B. So let's go to the beginning of line 3, measure 4. We've got fourth finger D, C, 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 fourth finger on C, third finger on B. Okay, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so let's start from the beginning of line 3 with just the right hand. 1 and so 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So when I'm playing this at regular speed and trying to say the 1E and 2E and it takes a lot of processing power and still try to learn the piece. So I am going to just kind of do that in my head. Okay, so line 3, measure 1 with the right hand. Okay, so now let's go to line 3, measure 1 with the left hand, and we've got G and B. So we've got second finger on G and our thumb on B. Half notes, so 1 and 2 and then again 1 and 2 and again 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Sorry, counted that off wrong, the first measure. So line 3, measure 3, we've got the whole rest. And then line 3, measure 4, we've got this second finger on D for a half note, and then our thumb on E for a half note. So line 3, measure 4, we've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so let's try that at the beginning. Line 3, measure 1 with the left hand. So we've got G and B. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay. So now let's bring both hands in together and we'll play it nice and slowly. Line 3, measure 1, get our hand set, fingers set. So we've got a third finger on G, right hand, and left hand is going to be on G and B with finger 2 and the thumb. Okay, so let's try that again. 1 and 2 E and 3 and 4 E and 1 and 2 E and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, now I will play that at normal speed. So line 3, measure 1. Okay. Okay, so let's go back to line 1 and we'll play all the way to the end of line 3. Okay. At moderate speed. So second finger on G, third finger left hand on G as well. Okay, it's coming together. I made quite a few mistakes there, but hopefully when I'm ready to do the performance of this, I'll be ready. So line 4, measure 1, we've got our fourth finger on B, 8th note. So we got B, A, and then our fourth finger on A, and then G with the third finger, F sharp, E, F sharp. Okay, so line 4, measure 1, fourth finger on B, A, G, F sharp, E, F sharp. Okay, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, okay. Oops. Oops. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So let's go to line 4, measure 2, third finger on G for a quarter note. So G, fourth finger on A, fifth finger on B for a half note. So G, A, B. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so line 4, measure 3, we've got our fourth finger, or excuse me, we've got second finger on B and fourth finger on D for a half note. So 1 and 2 and then we've got our third finger on C, pinky on E. Okay, so that would be 3 and 4 and. So line 4, measure 3, we've got B and D, C and E. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so let's try that from the beginning. Line 4, right hand by itself. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, now I'm going to play that at normal speed. Oops. So for some reason I'm getting my counting off there, so let's try that again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. Okay. Okay, so it sounds a little awkward when I'm starting the ending phrase there when it should be continuing off from line 3 measure 4. That's why I'm kind of getting hicked up there. So now let's go to line 4, measure 1 with the left hand. We've got our third finger on C, quarter note. We've got another quarter note C, second finger on D, and then another D. So C, C, D, D. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so let's go to line 4, measure 2. Fourth finger on B, quarter note. Second finger on D, quarter note. And then our thumb on G for a half note. Okay, so B, D, G. Okay, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so line 4, measure 3, we've got the whole rest there, so we don't have to play anything there. So now let's bring the right hand and left hand together on line 4, measure 1, and we'll play it nice and slowly. Okay, so fourth finger on B on the right hand, third finger on C, the left hand. So we've got 1 and 2. Oops. Try that again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay. I'm going to try that at normal speed. So line 4, measure 1. For some reason I'm getting caught up with the tempo, and so line 4, measure 1. Line 4, measure 1. Okay, so I'm getting caught up because for some reason my brain is used to playing this piece with the line 3, measure 4 and line 4, measure 1 together, and so it just seems a little off, incomplete. So line 4, measure 1 again. So okay, so now let's go back to line 1, and we'll play all the way to the end of line 4 at moderate speed. Okay, so I definitely need a lot of work on that. So maybe I should have practiced that quite a bit more before I started this. Anyway, so let's go to line 5, measure 1 with the right hand. We're going to be on D with the 4th finger, C with the 3rd finger, C, C, and then 4th finger on C, 3rd finger on B, B, B. Okay, so we've got 4th finger on D, D, C, 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 B, B, B. Okay, so we've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so line 5, measure 2, we've got our 4th finger on B, and then 3rd finger on A, 4th finger on A, 3rd finger on G, 2nd finger on F sharp, thumb on E, and then 2nd finger on F sharp. Okay, so we've got 4th finger on B, B, A, G, F sharp, E, F sharp. Okay, so we've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so line 5, measure 2. So line 5, measure 2. Okay, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, I'm not sure why I'm getting hung up on that. It's not too difficult. So line 5, measure 3, the last notes. We've got our 3rd finger on G for a quarter note, and then 5th finger on B, and then back down to G for a half note. So G, B, G. Okay, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so let's try that again. Line 5, measure 1 with the right hand, 4th finger on D. Okay, that sounds better. When I play the notes individually without kind of the melody in my head, it tends to use a different part, I guess, of the mind, and that's where I get stumbled up. Where if I'm anticipating how it's supposed to sound, then I can actually flow with it. And so I've got really two minds working together: that rote memory, but also kind of the analytical kind kind of the instantaneous reading there, and that's where I get kind of fouled up there. If you're interested. Okay, so line 5, measure 1 with the left hand. So first note is going to be a D, second finger, okay, for a half note, and then thumb on E, half note. Okay, so D, E. Okay, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so line 5, measure 2. We've got the quarter note C, third finger, C, C, D, okay, second finger on D, and then we're going to jump with our fourth finger to get prepared for the next series of notes. So fourth finger on D, okay, so we've got line 5, measure 2, we've got C, C, D, D, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, okay, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so line 5, measure 3, the last measure. Thumb is on G for a quarter note. So we've got G, 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 half note. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so let's go back to line 5, measure 1 with the left hand, and we'll play it by itself. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so now let's bring it in, bring both hands in together. Line 5, measure 1, fourth finger on D with the right hand, second finger on D with the left hand. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so let's try that again. Line 5, measure 1. Okay, so we've got all the lines and measures registered with our hands. Now let's see, I'll play it nice and slowly at first from the very beginning. Okay, so line 1, measure 1, we've got our second finger on G, third finger on G with the left hand. So okay, not too bad. I didn't really follow the fingering notation, but again, the notation is something that I put in there as a recommendation. You may have bigger hands or smaller hands, and so the fingering might be a little bit different in comfort level for you. And so I would suggest, if you do buy this, to print it out, and then, I have 2 versions on the website, one with finger and one without, so you get them both when you purchase it. And so the one that you get, if you want to change the finger, you can just print out the notation, the sheet music that has no notes, and just write in your own. Okay, and again, they're just notations. So Eine Kleine Nachtmusik by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart means a little serenade. So this is serenade number 13 in G major. Okay, so I thought I was going to go through that whole series without messing up, but I did, so let's try that again. So, Eine Kleine Nachtmusik by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart in G major. Okay, what a lovely piece. Again, that's Serenade number 13, and proper name. It's called Eine Kleine Nachtmusik by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Now, if you go online to PianoWithMichael.com, put in the keyword, you'll see me playing this. And then also I've got some bar notations that really break it down so you can follow it very slowly. And then I'll also have a professional version of this performed by people that really know what they're doing and can bring out the true expression of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. The piece is just one of my favorites. I think everyone has heard of it. Maybe they didn't know who it was from. But hopefully this sheet music, the easy version of it, and what I just brought to you will allow you to learn and kind of feel the spirit of Mozart. So, thank you for watching this video. If you like it, please like it, share it, subscribe to my YouTube channel, click on the notification bell, go to my website, PianoWithMichael.com, to learn my philosophies of music and why I'm so passionate about promoting music and what it does for the brain. So, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video if you found it helpful. Visit our website for content, tips, and products. And as always, practice, but make sure it's fun.